Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon for our 10th installment, which is probably going to be the shortest installment, one of the shorter installments, because this is the Fragile Yellow Arc of Fragrance, which is a one-episode story based off of a sort of a sample script sent into the production office in the early 1964 by Morris Fari, and it's included as a lost story produced as an audio drama, basically with the stage directions sort of converted into narration, which it makes this interesting sort of, it makes it much more of an audiobook style than, as Feral Great Macedon's A Lost Story was closer to full cast, even though there were only 3 cast members. This one is much more audiobook, so it doesn't work, it's not as easy to judge it as a television story, it's more of just sort of the speculation. But you have the Fragile Yellow Arc of Fragrance, which is it's a very simple story. It only lasts about 45 minutes, so it has to be kind of simple. We start in media res, where the Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Susan have landed on this planet Fragrance, and they're about to leave. Basically, but what's interesting is that Fragrance has the life forms on Fragrance. They aren't human, but they look human. They're given a sort of a species. They have 2 arcs, which are basically semicircles in their life. The first is the thin purple arc, where they go through puberty. The fragile arc is marked by when they find a mate. The catch is the mate has to reciprocate their love, or else die. So you have this guy named. Oh gosh, what was his name? Is the question. Basically, this guy played by, I think his name was Rhythm. Rhythm, I am melody, harmony. Yeah, his name is Rhythm, played by John Dorney, actually, who played Alexander the Great. At least I think it's Rhythm. Hold on, let me do a quick. It's Rhythm. But he's fallen in love with Barbara, but Barbara can't stay. And you have, it's really simple. It's very much it's a very slow story for 45 minutes. You have a segment where the Doctor basically shows the inhabitants of Fragrance the inside of their TARDIS and how it sort of works, which is a very, very detailed explanation. It's kind of, it sort of feels like the time, but it feels also kind of dull. But to have that just as a sort of a thing that works. It exists in the story, so I kind of will put up with it. And you have Melody and Harmony being the 2 sisters of Rhythm, and then I am, and what was the father's name? I can't seem to remember the other name. But basically, the family, they're like, we're just gonna keep Barbara here, and that's basically, so basically they run to the TARDIS, lock themselves in, and go off as Rhythm decides, no, because I can't be with the one I love, as now I have to get into a boat and sail off into space and basically become a corpse floating around in space, which is a very dark ending. It's very simple. The characters aren't really defined. They're all sort of defined by one trait, as just your sort of generic family. This was really never meant to be produced on television. It was basically just to show off to the writers, to the producers, what Morris Fari could do. So you have what's essentially an interesting little. It's just sort of an oddity of a story. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's pretty good. It just has all these problems with not being very developed. Even by these standards. So you have sort of this. That's really all. I can't say too much more about it because there just isn't much. Not things really developed. The plot sort of sluggish is wrong, and the length is kind of weird. It doesn't really have a good sort of pacing overall. So I'm gonna have to give the Fragile Yellow Arc of Fragrance a 7 out of 10 because it's really good. But it's a one. It just has these problems that it just doesn't feel fully polished, and it's just sort of an oddity. But thanks for watching, and of course I'll see you next time. We're gonna go way back to what was originally meant to be the second story. Now, of course, I can't make it the second story around the second story because you have references to other stories. So it's going to be our sort of our 10th story. When the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon will return, most likely next Friday, with Anthony Coburn's famous lost script that was originally put into a script book, but of course has been produced into an audio by Big Finish Productions, The Masters of Luxor. See you then.